What is good? What is good? Welcome back, Mr. Marcus. Matthew, how
Hello.
are we?
What's going on?
Feeling good,
Good.
feeling good.
Yep.
Hopefully everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Episode 41 going into week 14. This is obviously the episode where Fancy has to work. So it's just going to be us three, but we're excited. Lots of good football, lots of good records for us on this podcast as a consensus and as individual picks as well. So like we do with every single intro, I have a lot of fun little, stats and, whatever you want to call them. We need to figure out a name for what I do here in the intro. I don't know. There are stats, but there are also like some crazy other things too. But starting out with you, Matt, Penny Sewell has allowed 0 sacks this season, but has been sacked himself once. So that think about that. That's got to be a first time in the NFL, right? We've seen a lot of first times. Josh Allen receiving touchdown, rushing touchdown, and passing touchdown for the first NFL. That might be up there too.
I thought for sure we were going to see a passing touchdown out of him.
I was watching it live, and I was like, "Uh-oh," like because when we were watching it, my brother was like, "That's not Goff." I'm like, "That is not Goff." I promise you
that's about 150 pounds.
I don't know who it is, but it's not Jared Goff. And then the next one, Trey McBride, which Marcus, me and you have talked a lot about Trey McBride, has 0 touchdowns on 73 receptions this season. Obviously, he does have a rushing touchdown, but no receiving touchdowns. On the other side, Nick Westbrook-Akine has 8 touchdowns on 20 receptions. So just how things play out sometimes is a little ridiculous. We'll be talking about Nick Westbrook-Akine farther down the line in the pod. But another fun fact, if you have Barkley in your fantasy football leagues, you have a 51% chance at being first or second in your league, which is absolutely absurd to think about when he went late or second round in most drafts in a 12-man.
Yep. You're right.
Most rushing yards in the NFL, Barkley, number 1, Derrick Henry, number 2, Josh Jacobs, number 3, Saquon Barkley just in the second half at number 4, and then number 5, Jahmyr Gibbs. Think about that. 982 yards is what Barkley has in the second half. Jahmyr Gibbs has 973. Obviously, that's a little bit of a name grab on the stats because obviously they have a dual, threat option in Detroit. It's not just Jahmyr.
Yep.
But we know we got to throw in some Browns ones like we always do every single week. Jameis Winston.
Let's hear the stat.
Browns quarterbacks, Jameis Winston and Joe Flacco, are both top 5 in NFL history with passing yards by a quarterback in their first 5 games. 2024, Jameis Winston, 1,680 yards. 2023, Joe Flacco, 1,616 at number 1 and at number 2. Kind of a crazy stat to think about.
That honestly
especially when, last year you guys had a winning season, but this season, when you see those stats, it's like, lots to talk about there. Jameis Winston.
What's that? Oh, maybe that's the stat you're giving me. I thought you were going to give me the passing touchdowns.
Jameis Winston threw for a combined 668 yards, the most ever in NFL history by a quarterback. 497 passing yards and 171 yards on interceptions.
Love it.
And then to top it off, kind of a crazy one. Honestly, like a really crazy one. Jerry Jeudy entered the game that Monday night. Right? Am I wrong?
Yep.
Monday night.
Yep.
Ranked 30th in NFL in receiving yards. Then went for 235 yards. And now he sits 5th in the league.
Yep.
So that is a crazy stat to go from 30th to 5th. It's a kind of a crazy number because now Brock Bowers is in that top 5 as well.
Yep.
I believe it's Jamar Chase. I think I remember Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terry McLaurin, Brock Bowers, Jerry Jeudy. So who would have thought that through 13 weeks?
Yep. Jerry and CD are tied at 880, I think.
Are they? So tied for 5th then. Yep. Which kind of crazy all around there. So, but like we were saying, a very, very good week for us. We'll get into our picks here. Last week, Fancy 13-3. Matt, you went 14-2, and I went 15-1. We were so close to that perfect 16-0. And if you guys tuned into last episode, I was talking about the fact that I've taken the Steelers every single week besides week 1. And for whatever reason, I went against it, and that was my one loss. But V, who helps us with a lot of our production, she went 16-0, so that's super dope to see. But Matt, I'm creeping up on you. You're at 128-67. I'm at
1 game back.
127-68. Fancy's had a great week, but didn't move anywhere on our leaderboard. But this week we have 9 consensus picks. So a little bit lower than what we've typically had. If you look at our last couple weeks, we've been double digits most weeks. We have 9 consensus picks. The consensus picks only count if it's me, Matt, and Fancy. Sorry, the Browns have no value. But no, it's just next year we will probably get your picks every single week with the way we do things because you've been awesome helping us out with the weeks that Fancy can't make it. But last week, 14 consensus picks, Matt, for us. 13-1. It just came down to that Bengals Steelers game. If the Bengals literally had a college defense, they might be able to win and get us that perfect 14-0.
No.
But Matt, you were talking about you had the percentage. I just have the number that puts us at 95-40 in consensus picks for 2024. I think Matt, you said about 50% now.
So yeah, it bumps us up to 70% on the year on our consensus.
70% win ratio when me, Fancy, and Matt are all locked in on the same pick, which is a really, really good number to be at. So look out for our picks. We're gonna be doing it. We're gonna be spicing things up the next few weeks. So stay on our socials. Keep active. We'll get into that later. But Thursday night football. Fancy avoiding the matchup. Packers Lions. Matt, I typically let you do most of the talking when it comes to the Detroit Lions. These are the matches we usually see a 50-50 split, and you guys had already beaten Green Bay. So tell me, is it the home field advantage? Is it, give me the rundown. I mean, I know you're always going to pick the Lions, but why do you feel good, obviously, about this matchup?
Yeah, I love the mindset every week of, we're going to give you absolutely everything. We're going to beat the shit out of you if we can. And so when you get a rivalry game like this and it's at home and it's in prime time, I think it favors the Lions. So I love seeing a point total of 51 on a Thursday night matchup. You know what I mean? Like they expect it, and hopefully it is, right? It should be a shootout. But I really think, the only downside are how many times are you seeing all these defensive players for the Lions go down? And it's every week now. We're signing new guys off practice squads. We're signing some, people that we can implement. But I think the over/under kind of shows it 51 is it's the offensive game that's going to be the highlight of this matchup.
Yeah, Marcus.
It's tight. Couple of fun facts for you. The Lions 10 straight wins. Green Bay 7 of 8. Their last loss out of those 8 games, Matt. The Lions.
Love it.
Yeah. So Lions have also held opponents under 21 in 5 of their last 6. So that beat up defense is finding a way. I mean, bruised, damaged goods, whatever you want to call it. They're figuring out a way to kind of get the job done. And that offense is just a juggernaut. So you have 2 of the upper echelon teams in the league going at it. I mean, this is Thursday night football, primetime game. This is must watch. This is a good game to be a Thursday night NFL fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to watch it tonight. Obviously, when this gets released, for me, everything you guys just said nailed it. I typically I don't think I did it. I wanted to look back and I didn't get a chance to. Maybe Matt, you remember? I think I did go Detroit even when you guys were in Green Bay. I think the only time I bet against. I think the only time I bet against Detroit. Or a bet with Detroit and they lost was Tampa. So I just never went against it. So that played a big part of me just picking Detroit. I also knew you were going to pick them. Obviously, you see the race of us going back and forth. It's like I couldn't afford to. This might be one of those toss-up games. Division games get tricky, get weird. I mean, who would have thought Monday Night Football? Not saying it's division, but who would have thought Monday Night Football? They thought it was going to be low-scoring defense between Denver and Cleveland, and Denver's defense just didn't show up, right? So, I just think in a shootout here. The only thing that I'm nervous about with Detroit going forward, as a team that I do respect on the FC side, is that defense. You guys are just banged up, like you said, Matt. And you got 2 juggernaut teams between the Lions and the Eagles right now, and it's like, who can stay healthy? And I just hope for a healthy NFC Championship between us two, because that'd be a really. I think a lot of fans are really rooting for that. Yep. Would have loved to hear Fancy's side of it. It might just be because he is a Packers fan and a Packers owner. He does have ownership in the team. You guys didn't know that out of the last 10 episodes that he said it. But hopefully it's just a good game. These are the games that are tricky for me. I love the fact that it isn't over 51. I hope it does hit over 51. But these are the games, like that divisional opponent, just like all of a sudden it's like a 21-17 battle. You know what I mean? It's tricky. Like you said, Detroit's defense letting up under 21. Packers defense has been pretty solid this season. Not like anything special, but not bad at all. So hopefully we see some offense in that game.
Mhm.
And
Two
then
well-coached teams.
go from total offense to the Titans and the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence got placed on the IR.
Mhm.
Will Levis not looking bad for the Tennessee Titans this year. Honestly, he's had some decent games. But
Yep.
all of us taking the Titans, not really much to say about that. Mac Jones in for Jacksonville hasn't really impressed us. Jacksonville, even with Trevor Lawrence, hasn't really impressed us.
Mhm.
Even though they kind of kept up with the Texans last week. So this is a game where I am
Yeah.
avoiding the Titans Jags game at all costs, no matter what bet it is,
Yeah,
unless
because
it's a Calvin Ridley bet.
Yep.
Which his line's not out yet. Otherwise, we would have taken it. But
Mac Jones is always, he's got some skill set, so it's one of those things where he steps back in, and is he going to be competitive? You don't know. So yeah,
Mhm.
I agree with you. This one's a tough one to look
we
at.
all took the
Yep.
Titans, but this is one where I'm like, I'm not betting on them.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just
Yep.
I'm not betting on this game.
Yep.
And then we go down to the Dolphins Jets. We all picked the Dolphins. Dolphins just kind of scrapping their way back to trying to make a playoff run. I mean, obviously the Bills
Yeah.
are going to win. They're going to clinch the division here. Anything? Did they? I think they already did. I think they might have already clinched the division.
Bills, yep.
Yeah, because they had the t-shirts on and everything like that after that at
Mhm.
the snow game. So they're just trying to sneak into a wild card. It's just here towards the end of the season. It's going to be tough, especially with teams like Denver and Los Angeles Chargers that are. I mean, we might see
Chargers are
3 teams
good.
out of the AFC West, right? So
Mhm.
and then you got the AFC North. It's like you got to be Steelers, Ravens. It's like they're up there too. So they're scrapping and clawing. We've seen a different team out of Miami though. Like
Oh, yeah.
Miami's starting to win now with Tua back. But it's not the
Mhm.
Tyreek Hill, the Jalen Waddle show of like 100+ yards. It's
Jonnu
Devon
Smith.
Achane. I mean, and what's that?
Mhm.
And Jonnu, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
Jonnu
Yeah.
Smith. I mean, he's been a pod favorite.
These
with
two
us.
his favorite.
And their defense has been great, even though
Mhm.
they lost their big D tackle going in the offseason. So they're winning football games after Tua's been back. I know the 5-7 record doesn't really match up with my sentence there, but since Tua's been back, they've been winning games. And they've just been winning games differently. So I'm still kind of in that weird hope of like, I'm in a league where I'm 10-3 in fantasy, and some guy dropped Jalen Waddle and I picked him up. So I'm kind of hoping like going into playoffs, maybe I can put him in that flex spot. If not in this matchup against the Jets,
Mhm.
but going forward, maybe find that spark again. I saw
Yeah.
it 1 week with Jalen Waddle since I've gotten him, but other than that, I mean, between him and Hill, it's been a really weird, season for them both. But Vikings, Falcons, I did maybe think one of us, like out of all 4, I was like, there might be one. I know the odds don't show it, and the Falcons looked bad last week, but
Mhm.
Kirko Chains going into Minnesota,
Mm.
right? A little revenge tour
Yeah.
game. What do you got for us, Marcus? Like, I know you got something written down on that pad that we.
Yeah. So I don't know. As much as you want to kind of lean for Falcons, like, I mean, this isn't a consensus game. It is for all of us, but it's closer than it kind of seems.
Yeah, it's not +2 hundo.
Yeah. The Falcons have dropped 3 straight, and in those 3 games, they have scored 18 points in one of them.
Yeah.
So Kirk is having his struggles, and last week, I mean, he was really struggling to have any kind of zip on them.
Was it
them
4 or
balls.
5 picks? Some of them were just just
4 picks,
ducks.
and
Yeah.
I mean, like 5-yard out routes where he's just not getting enough.
I mean, it was like literally a lob ball for like 5 yards, and the guy just ran up. He had like 10 seconds to run up to it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I mean, there's the Minnesota defense might be up there with some of the best in football. They are top 5 passer rating, top 5 in sacks, and top 5 in yards per carry. So they're just
they were a scary defense.
strangling
We talked about
defense.
a lot, Matt. I remember me and you, Matt. We emphasized. I mean, those first couple of weeks,
Yep.
they were they confused CJ Stroud. They confused a lot of elite quarterbacks.
Yep.
So
talented and well coached. So I mean, I think if the Falcons have any hope in this game, Bijan has to hit the ground running. They have to control the clock, and they have to get in some good situational football where it's 3rd and short, and let Kirk kind of come into the game because he's been struggling as of late. And I've always been a big Kirk guy.
I mean, 0 catches last week. I mean,
9 yards the week before.
All your success has been with Kyle Pitts. So why are we once again not going at him? He's a freak of nature, and we're just wasting the talent there. He's still 22, 23, I think 23.
Yeah,
I think
in his 4th year.
Yeah, it's like, dude, can we get him the
4
ball,
years
please?
of ignoring him? Yes.
Yeah,
I know a couple of those weeks we thought we're like, okay, maybe he's back.
Yeah, he had like a 4 or 5 game stretch where it's like, okay, they're using him. Like,
this is what we've been waiting for. Yeah.
But yeah, these last couple of weeks, you've seen it's those turnovers. You know, when you're throwing 4 interceptions, when you're not throwing touchdowns, like you said, what was it, 18 points?
18
Was there,
points in the
like,
last 3. Yep.
yeah, you're not going to win those games. So I think the Falcon, I want to see a bounce back game after such a bad game last week.
That's why I
But-
thought maybe someone was going to go that side.
Yeah, but at the same time, I just when you have that then matchup with a team with a defense like the Vikings are doing, it's even if you do bounce back and still maybe put up a respectable number, I think it's not quite enough with that Vikings defense. So that's why I said. And then for my DK lineup, you'll see in a sec, like I'm on the offensive side as well for the Vikings. I love everything Justin Jefferson is doing in the receiving game. And, obviously Sam Darnold's the one slinging it to him. So that's a good combo there. But I mean, I think Cousins is more focused on, how much Cole's cash he's got right now.
It was Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some deals.
So after that, maybe he's going to be all right. But that's why I'm siding with Vikings on this one.
Yeah.
No,
I'd
I
like
think
to see him bounce back against his former team too.
Yeah.
absolutely. Hopefully, it's just a good game. And what's interesting is, I mean, last week we saw Justin Jefferson have a really good week, but the week before that we talked about it, he had like 2 catches, 24 yards, and they still got the job done, right? So I mean, I emphasized it last week of like they can get it done even without him, which is kind of scary. That's why that's why me and Matt we took him over the Cardinals last week. But I mean, give it to Kevin O'Connell. Like, what a great coach team. Probably he's got to be up there coach of the year. I mean, JJ McCarthy goes down. TJ Hawkinson missed a lot of time. Aaron Jones missed some time. You got some O-line injuries, some D-line injuries, I mean, everyone's dealing with injuries. It's like to have this team at 10-2 when I think their over/under on wins was like 4.5, 5.5. It's like,
wow.
So
never.
I was looking at that on ESPN. It was like 4.5 or 5.5, and I think it was 5.5. And it's like to be 10-2 right now. And all it's going to take is a Lions loss or Eagles loss, and they're up there with that number. We all want it, right? We all want the number 1 seed, and but I mean, with that being said, I mean, then with that many, it's just there's so many mouths to feed. I mean, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. It's I don't see. Hopefully, we see Atlanta bounce back. I mean, the NFC South is still wide open for the taking. No one's doing anything with it. The Bucks obviously are going to come back and give it everything they got, but Atlanta kind of needs to win this one. But obviously we don't see it happening this week at least. And then speaking of NFC South teams, we have 3 of them on this slide. Which, hey, we might see the Bucks take it over the division if we're right. But Saints Giants, I mean, it's the Saints and Giants, it's
we're seeing Drew Lock again get that starting job
with as much happiness Jameis Winston has brought not only the Browns fans, the NFL fans, just every human being around the United States has gotten so much happiness out of Jameis Winston. I think the Saints are now probably my most hated team, that they wasted Jameis Winston all those years that they just had him there as backup and they just wouldn't let him go anywhere else. It's like we could have had so many more clips. We could have had so many more. Did you see like that one when he's out there in Thursday Night Football in the snow, when he's singing Jingle Bells and let us know, and then he's at the line, he's trying to get him to hearts. He's trying to do a heart snap, get him to jump off sides. You see that one?
Yeah.
Somebody jump off sides. Damn. It's so authentic, man.
It's a national treasure.
What's Bo Nix did that again on Monday night too?
Yeah, he did it against. Yeah, he did it. Somebody jump off sides. So it's just funny. I mean, dude, he's just such a, and he's still in football, man. He's so entertaining to watch. And then we saw the post game of him praying to the Lord that he can
stop the pick sixes.
It's just like he's just a national treasure. So it's like I hate the Saints for wasting him, and he's only on a 1-year contract with you guys, so we might see him go to a team and actually get a chance at a starting position long term, because he's still pretty young. He's only like 30, 31. It's like he still could.
Yeah, I would love to keep him. So.
Yeah. So anyways, well, we all picked the Saints. Nothing to talk about really in the Eagles game either. This is just one of those matchups where if the Eagles really do lose this, that would be very, very
Lit-
hurtful.
Yeah.
And
Listen, we're not gonna
I don't want to hear you. We're skipping on to the next game because you're gonna say
No.
some stupid shit about you guys being #1 seed, and I don't want to hear. I've supported your team
No,
through
I'm
everything.
not.
Okay,
I'm just saying it's surprising what we've seen the past couple weeks out of the Panthers.
yeah, I'm not
So,
taking
Yeah.
-12.
Yeah.
it's one of those games where obviously we're all going to pick the Eagles, but somehow they have still matched up. Like when they matched up against the
Chiefs and last week against Tampa.
and then against Tampa,
Mhm.
like for some reason they're able to kind of show that they're an actual football team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
And that's
still
why I
can't-
think the
They're
Eagles are
fighting.
going to be like, let's put you back in your place of like. People don't realize
Yep.
Eagles have the #1 defense in the NFL right now. The #1 rated defense in the NFL after
Mhm.
starting out like the 26th. So, I mean, Vic Fangio has really
Yeah.
turned things around there, and that offense is humming. And Marcus, you said in pre-production, like Panthers literally have one of the worst running defenses, and Barkley is
Oh, yeah.
averaging like 112. So, like,
Yeah. I mean,
you guys saw the numbers. It's
Yeah.
like it's
Bucky
ridiculous.
Irving and Rashad White just put 240 yards on him last week. So even though that was a close game, I mean, it could have been ugly if Baker came to play. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And they
absolutely.
they got after the quarterback. They had a lot of pressures. I think they sacked him 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening against the Eagles O line. I think this is going to be a pretty dominant top to bottom.
Yeah, I hope it's just a
game.
clean game where we get our starters out of there pretty quick. It keeps them in rhythm,
Mhm.
and then we just move
Yeah.
on to the next week type of
Yep.
thing.
and then
See
Marcus,
if Saquon can chase greatness. So
was it you that did you have Jonathan Brooks on your IR leading in this year?
yes,
Gnarly.
I did.
And then so I ended up picking him up because I was like, I just want to get those couple weeks at the back end
Yeah.
where he gets into rhythm. But the
Mhm.
problem is Chuba Hubbard has actually looked like
And
a
they signed him to
serviceable-
a big deal, like not
Yeah,
not a big deal, but like a
So-
2-year 18. It's like that's or 16.
so they're
or
being real cautious with them. They're not giving Brooks the reps yet.
Mhm.
So I think he's still somebody to look out for. It just unfortunately might not be at the end of the season right now. Like I was predicting.
like
I
everyone
I
else
thought
thought
so
too,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it was
everyone
going
thought it was gonna be like a 4-week, 5-week thing, and he's gonna be back. You know, so
yeah, I thought it was going to be the poor man's Lions backfield. You know,
That's
like
what
a
I'm saying
little
too,
Thunder
yeah.
and lightning.
That's
Yeah,
what I was
so-
hoping for.
And then we all took the Bucks. There's no way that the Bucks should ever lose this game. I know they came close last week, but the Raiders at this
Mhm.
point should just be taking for the #1 pick. I think they're first in line. I think they're literally 32nd right now, so they should
Mhm.
just be losing every game they can. Even though we saw some lightning out of O'Connell last week, kind of
Yeah.
lighting up the stat sheets. Another
then
good
you
matchup
saw
for
the-
him. I mean, we can see him torch. Bryce Young looked good against Tampa, so it's like we can easily see Aiden O'Connell look
Mhm.
good against Tampa.
You saw the NFL press the lose button. When they played Kansas City last week because
Oh, yeah, they
there's-
made a call, that's for sure.
there is no reason that happens at the end of the game right there. There is absolutely no way that the center just all of a sudden snaps it when all you have to do is take the ball, just chuck it in the stands, and then you're kicking
Mhm.
your field goal.
Yeah.
He could even spiked the ball and it would have been
That
game
hurts.
over. And for some reason that happens. Like to me, you cannot convince me that they had to have Kansas City win that game. The
Yeah.
NFL just pressed that buzzer. The
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings buzzer, you know what I mean? Like it happened.
And if you're the Raiders, I mean, that just takes all the wind out of your sails.
I mean, I think
so.
too though, like at 2-9, it's like good. Like just give me the #1 pick. Like I'm
Yeah,
just-
at that point,
I'm
yeah.
so over this season, and it could have been that too of just like, hey,
Mhm.
let's not win this game.
Yeah.
Like let's fuck this up. Like you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
could have been the Raiders side of things too. I mean, we've
Yeah.
definitely seen some insider things where it's been leaked of like they've been tanking and everything else. So it could have been it. I mean, who knows? But it was another bizarre ending for Kansas City
Yeah.
that we can just tally on to another game where it's like, how are they not
Yep.
like a 4 or 5 loss team? But the
Mhm.
Steelers Browns, I'll put the Steelers, not a crazy amount to talk about on this one. We'll get to the next slide here in a second. But Marcus, you had the fun stat about the Browns and the Steelers, how the Browns have never, I know the
Oh.
last matchup, the Browns beat them, but you had a
Mhm.
stat of like they haven't beat them twice or
They haven't beat them twice in like 10 plus years. So
Yeah.
I forget the exact number off my head, but
yeah.
I,
And now they're gonna be in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's tough place.
in
Pittsburgh's
Pittsburgh.
gonna want Pittsburgh wants that ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, we want to come
Oh,
back and
yeah.
make sure that we get that game back because it should
Yeah.
not have went that way. You know?
Yep.
That's how
George
they-
Pickens came out after that first game saying the Browns aren't a good team. That's kind of a fluke.
It's gonna be a chippy afternoon game.
Oh yeah,
for
Yep,
sure.
Yep.
Should be a fun one to watch. And then this slate is the most like heavy slate we have in terms of 50-50 picks and everything else. So we're kind of going all over the board here. I'll try to like pair it up because obviously some of us are paired together and some of us aren't. So starting out with the Cardinals and Seattle game, I'll let you guys go. Matt and Marcus, you guys picked Seattle in this game at Arizona. Either one of you guys can give me
Yeah,
the.
go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I kind of the same rationale as last week, probably the week before that too, is just not trusting in the Cardinals, being up and down, and on the flip side, I love JSN. The news that I did see, which concerns me after making this pick though, is if Kenneth Walker, he was a little banged up. I think he did not practice
Kenneth
today.
Walker is banged up, and so does DK Metcalf.
Yeah, and then DK Metcalf. So that's a little scary when you have a toss-up game like this. But I'm still, for whatever reason, for good or bad, I like the Seahawks team, and so I'm siding with them again this week.
Yep. There's kind of a different storyline between these two teams. Is like you said, the Cardinals are kind of hit and miss. I mean, they could beat. I'm convinced if Kyler Murray shows up, they could beat anybody in the NFL. But I've seen them be so up and down. It's like you kind of don't know what you're getting. But these teams are letting up a lot of sacks. So it's kind of like who's going to get after the quarterback, or Kyler's leg's going to come into play.
Yep.
I saw a fact. He went over 30 yards for the first time since week 7. He's one of the fastest quarterbacks in the league. So it's like, you'd like to see him use his legs a little more. Last time they played, he was sacked 5 times. So Geno got sacked 3 times and over 3 times in his last 4 games. So with the beat up running backs, it's going to really come down to who can do it in the pocket or outside of the pocket. So it's kind of, who do you want to bet on? Geno's kind of more steady, not too high, not too low, but Kyler has that wow factor. So I could see anybody picking either one of these teams. I mean, they're caught in a tight battle for the division. It's going to be a good game, and I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah. I think the last time, it was like 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, week 14, they played week 12, 16-6, right? We saw the Cardinals put up 6 points, and it's we emphasize on the pod that there are 2 teams that are just extremely inconsistent. Like, I as much as the Arizona's inconsistent, I think Seattle's just been as much inconsistent as that. The Seattle Seahawks have lost to the Giants. They've lost to, I mean, they've lost to some teams that
you're
it's
right.
like, it's like, what are we doing? So this one to me is literally the coin flip of the week. Like, this to me, it's like it can go either way. You nailed it. If Geno Smith and DK Metcalf and Kenneth Walker and JSN, they all show up, I mean, Geno's going to go for 400 yards, and it's just that when they're lights out, they're lights out, like it is. But when Kyler and them get going, like you said, I'm convinced they can beat every single team in the league when they're playing both sides of the football for 4 quarters. You can't stop them. When Kyler's when he's hot, and so it's one of those things where, to me, 16-6 loss in Seattle last time they matched up. We talked about it on week 13, literally last week, Matt. You can't score 6 points. And that's why we took Vikings, right? It's like, you can't score 6 points and get anywhere, right? And we saw them put up a tougher battle against Minnesota. Like, they put up some more points, whatever. But, I mean, the division's slipping away from them. Their playoff chances are slipping away from them. They're at home. They need to do it. I'm going to FaceTime Fancy real quick and ask him where Kyler Murray went to college. So everyone in listening can figure that out. He always needs to tell us where he went to college. I think it was Oklahoma, Matt. Can you verify that for me?
Yeah, that's true.
So that's just me is I want to see. It's one of those teams. Fancy kind of nailed it a couple weeks ago when they said, like, Cardinals are one of those teams that they will knock your team out of playoffs, but they'll barely miss themselves. It's like it's like they're gonna knock a team out, and it's like if we go to divisions, we all talk about how divisions, no matter who they are, whether it's the Browns and Steelers, they go 50-50 even if it's a losing season for them. And I just think this is one of those games where it's like you got to get your shit back. It's just like the Steelers and Browns. It's like you got to get it back. You're home, and hopefully Kyler and Marvin Harrison show up, and James Conner's had a great season as well. So and hopefully Trey McBride gets a receiving touchdown.
To your point before, someone throw on those Astro A40s, like you talked about, and tell him to just throw the ball to McBride in the red zone, and he's gonna score. You can't match up against him in the red zone, so you got to throw it to him.
And I'm going to say take those 840s off because he's 0-2 since worse unreleased.
The VO6 integration, absolutely.
Yep.
And then the Bills Rams. So it's a consensus pick for me, Matt and Fancy, but Marcus, you are on the other side of it, so you'll give us
Mhm.
the Rams side of things. We did take the Rams last week against the Saints, Matt. Unfortunately, your buddy did not. So shout out to him if he does tune into this. Just a rub it in just a little bit more. But Bills 10-2 clinched the division last week. I just they're just rolling. I mean, they just
Mhm.
are, and
They are.
it doesn't matter who's in their way right now. I think it's a dangerous team when they're having fun. Like they're just having
Mhm.
fun playing football. And I genuinely think we talked about it like week 2, week 3, week 4. You get rid of the cans in the locker room. You could take that as whoever you want to take it as, but we all know who I'm talking about. And they talked about how all the leadership went on to Josh Allen. All of it. I mean, every
Mhm.
ounce of it went to Josh Allen. And everyone loves the guy, man. I mean, everyone
Yeah.
loves the guy. The people say he's a great leader. He's a great teammate. He's a great friend. And it's like you can just see a bunch of guys in the NFL for a reason. No crazy talent. I mean, they have a Mark Cooper now, right? But before that, it
Mhm.
was Keon Coleman, Khalil
Khalil
Shakir, which is
Shaker.
one of his closest buddies now.
Mhm.
Mac Hollins or whatever. That's
James
I think
Cook.
just a freak of a guy walking in there barefoot, 12 feet of snow. All this. It's just a group of guys that love football. They love playing
Mhm.
football together and then for each other. And it's like, to me, I'm going to take that every single time, and I'm just not going to go against the grain of it. So,
All this upbeat talk and how much fun they're having, man, it's making me second guess my pick. So where I was coming from here, and like we said before we kind of went live, is the Rams really need this one, and this is one of my 50-50 picks where I kind of talked myself into picking them. So that division's wide open. If the Rams want to kind of solidify this playoff position, they need to start winning these games and winning them quick because we're almost done with the season. So I mean, these next 3-4 games, basically their playoffs have already started. So
yeah.
I expect them to show up. I know the Bills are riding high. Hopefully they might overlook them a little, but I mean they're on a roll. So don't know what to expect here. I think that if the Rams have any shot, Kira needs to have a big game. The Bills have a great defense. Their one knock is their league average in run defense, if you can call that a knock. I mean, just a really solid team. So we'll see.
Yeah. Matt, you got anything else to add on to that? Or you?
Not really, because I mean, the only thought process was Josh Allen just got engaged, but that was last week,
Mm-hmm.
so he had the excitement going into that game, something to prove. So hopefully he doesn't now like come back down to earth a little bit, maybe clinching the division, still gets him that excitement to keep playing football. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have a game where I didn't think we'd see two names on the other side of it. I'm not gonna lie to you. So it's interesting. I wish Fancy was here for it, but 49ers, Bears. Me and Marcus took the 49ers. Matt and Fancy took the Bears. So I'm against the pod, like in terms of the consensus picks here. I guess we'll start out with me and you, Marcus. I mean, yeah, tell me you got something. Tell me you got something to make me more confident about this pick. Like after I saw it, I was like, well, fuck, maybe I went against the grain twice last week against
Mm-hmm.
you guys, or no, just once, Matt. I was on the opposite side of you and Fancy, and it was the Patriots Colts game. I picked the Colts. So like,
And
I
that
don't
one
know.
came down to a
I
field goal
said
at
we
the
come
end,
back
right?
to it, and I looked like an idiot if it didn't work out or whatever, and it didn't,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. But I guess help me out here, Marcus. Like I need some backup here.
It's 49ers it's been ugly, I mean the record shows it all, but this is a game that they also need to win. I think they're just so much better coached than Chicago. This is more of a take on Chicago finding ways to lose games more than I'm confident in the 49ers winning a game.
Yeah.
And I just think, I mean, the last 5 or 6 weeks, 2 or 3 of them losses Chicago's had are just like head scratchers. They're almost like the Aiden O'Connell where he got the ball snapped to him, he's sitting there froze. Like it's like how are they losing some of these games? Like the Hail Mary in the end zone when the guy's
I think
taunting
it's
the
6 straight
fans.
losses now. Yeah, I think it's 6
Yeah,
straight.
it's bad. So a fun fact about the Bears are the only team top 7 in scoring defenses to not be above 500. So they have such a great defense. They have all these weapons on offense, and they just have no direction. I like we brought up a little fantasy. I have Caleb Williams in Dynasty. I've been following. I've watched more Bears football this year than I ever have in my life, and they are just
The Bears
finding ways.
hat. You guys just can't see.
Yeah, I might as well be a Bears fan at this point. But yeah, they're just finding ways to lose it. So I'm going to go with the Niners. I think that their offense is really centered around a running back and a guy who can produce, and that Urendo,
Isaac Rendo.
not 100% sure how to pronounce the last name. So sorry if I butchered that, but he's averaging like 5.1 a carry or 5.2 a carry on a small sample size, but I think he's going to be enough to kind of keep it moving, keep the wheels going, and I think 49ers squeak this one out.
Yeah, on that fantasy talk, if he's available in your guys' league, I don't know how he still is, because he's one of those guys. It's not taking anything away from McCaffrey or Mason, but that is such a systematic run system where, I mean,
produces
you can put
stats.
anyone in there out of the draft and they are going to thrive in that offensive line and thrive everywhere else. We saw a lot of guys out last week. Trent Williams was out for that unfortunate news that he had. So I'm thinking that he'll be back. Obviously, if he's not, like, there's not, I don't have a take on that. But, I think I know why Matt took the Bears. Fancy, I don't know exactly why, but I think it's the whole coaching thing. We had a coaching stat thing where
I was just going to ask you if you remember that.
It was a new head coach in their first game. What is the record? And we thought it was bad, and it was like you have the number probably, but it's like 8-5 or 8-4.
10-3.
10-3.
Damn.
Yeah, 10-3. So that's exactly what it is. As soon
They're
as
basically the Bills.
As soon as Marcus said Kyle Shanahan is just better coached, I was like, fuck. Like, as soon as you said that, that's where I was like, that's where the stat that I'm missing on this matchup. But I still genuinely, even with that, it's like, yes, that is a stat. Yes, that is a thing. Like you said, I picked the Broncos because the Broncos defense, and because the Broncos defense only, and the Chargers because the Chargers defense only. Marcus, you worded it perfectly. I'm picking the 49ers because the Bears will find a way to lose. Like, they just will. Like, and they absolutely will. Will they look better this week? Probably. Will this be the pick that I lose? Probably. But if you're the 49ers and you're spending $1 billion between CMC and Trent Williams and George Kittle and Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and Fred Warner, it's like we see the entire NFC West picture on this, right? 7-5, 6-6, 6-6, 5-7. They don't have any more games to drop. This is a game that they absolutely have to win. And I can tell you right now, the Bears fans they're still scared of the 49ers. Like, the Bears are not going into this matchup saying like, oh, we can win. It's like they are still terrible, and they are still worried that their team is just not going to be fixed this season. And some of them are just like, just throwing the towel. We're not going to make it. So, like, just throwing the towel. Like, and so, yeah, that's where I just see it. I think you get that little bit of spark with Isaac Rendo. It's like he's going to get his pure shot at it. And I just think the Bears do let up a lot of they're like middle of the pack against,
and he's a bruiser.
So
he could wear you down, so we'll see.
So break my heart, Matt? And break my dreams, pop my bubble, and all the other stuff, Matt.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I hate that you have your running back comes back, your number one overall pick.
Why put him in the snow
in fantasy, and then he's in the snow and he pops the other, but it's the other leg, wasn't it? Like, so
left. Yeah.
I think he's both. I don't even think he has legs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen him since? I don't think he has legs.
So Lieutenant Dan, he goes down. And then their number 2, who was a great surprise in his stead, now he's out too. So you've got this young guy who we fully expect, just like Mason did, just plug and play, throw him in there, and he's going to have success. But we still have to wait and see, kind of thing, right? So yeah, I like that you side with them because they can do that. Brock Purdy can throw it to Kittle still. Stat I was looking at was Juwan Jennings. I think he's going to still be able to light it up.
Not to stop you there on your rant, but how about that, Mac? After week 1, we talked about picking up Juwan Jennings. It's literally a TikTok. We talked about how he's going to be a deep league guy for the rest of the season, and he's been their number 1 receiver.
Absolutely.
That's 14.8 fantasy.
And that was a consensus. Me and you, we were texting that night. I remember hey, what do you think about Juwan Jennings? Like, are you saying what I'm saying? You're like, absolutely.
Yeah. So all those factors side with the 49ers here, but I'm also going with the stats. I already gave you those stats a couple weeks ago. It's something happened, especially with just what seems like this bad organization, right? Something that they needed a change to
needed this
to just push them over this
I like
edge.
the guy. I hate it. I like the guy that they got. I like him. Have you seen the interviews? He's all about it. He's just we'll waste too much time. What do you mean too much time? He's we're wasting fucking time. He's we're not going to do it anymore. And they're he came in, they're you look different. He goes, I lost 20 pounds. They're what did you do? He goes, I can't eat when I'm dizzy. I'm all right.
Okay.
This fucking guy, he's here to fucking make a dent. You know what I mean? He's I'm here to get it
Yeah,
done.
and
Like,
that's to me, they've lost, how many games? Probably all
I
4.
think 6 in a row.
Is it all 4 of them though that are just, they find stupid ways to lose these games?
The
So
worst.
is it that they're inept as an organization, or they just need the right motivation maybe, and this is what it takes
Yeah.
to now hopefully push them over that's
I just think
kinda where
I think it's
He's-
absurd that we haven't even talked about it, but watching it live was unreal on Thanksgiving. Like
Mhm.
watching that last 30 seconds play out
Mhm.
was like, and especially being surrounded by Bears fans, it's like you talk about like eating great Thanksgiving food and then watching them like get on their hands and knees and like beg like why this is
Yeah.
happening. It's like everyone threw it on the coach, and I'm not gonna keep nailing, the whole Bears organization, but like it's on Caleb too. I don't care what anyone says. Like you're a competitive quarterback, you have to know the time.
Yeah.
Like
Even-
and when you snap it, you have to know that like you only need like 5 yards. You cannot throw the football 40 yards. That's gonna kill
Yeah.
5 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, you
just
need a
can't do it.
plan. You need a plan in place there, and I think clearly they
Wasn't
weren't.
it like 28 seconds? It was like 28 seconds that they just
When-
wasted off the clock. They had a
Yeah,
timeout
And
and
they
everything.
walked up.
So you
Yeah.
have to
They-
know that they're trying to run a play. Even if it was a run play, you have a timeout then. It's like they're just trying to
Mhm.
get you to get a couple more yards for your kicker. That's all they were trying to do. Like, and
Yeah,
it's
that's a
it-
wild.
that's the Bears that
way
I
to lose
imagine. I
again,
just
yeah.
can't imagine picking them the rest of the year. I just can't.
So the behind the scenes on that is the ball I think was placed with 28 seconds left. So that from that moment to walk up to the ball, it took 16 seconds for the play call to be radioed into Caleb. And when he got the call, he said that they had a one shot or they were going to call a timeout. That's what he thought. And he changed the play to take a shot because the play that he had received was a small check down or something.
Yeah, but
So
see, that's
it-
what makes sense. Like
it does,
Check
it
down
does.
makes
With
sense.
the
'cause
timeout,
You have a
with the
timeout, and you only needed
Yep.
like I think 5 or 6 yards to get in the field goal range that the
Yep.
kicker was comfortable at. So that makes sense. So it's just like
Mhm.
it's like yes, I understand the coaching's bad. They probably should have just called a timeout when they saw him not doing the right thing.
I mean, with
at the same
3-4
time, it's like-
seconds left, you have to.
Yeah, it's like any veteran coach is calling a timeout there, but
Mhm.
any good knowledgeable quarterback is making a play or calling
No,
timeout himself and be
I
like, "Yo,
agree.
we're not doing this." Like,
Yep.
call timeout 15 seconds, throw it to the sideline, incomplete, whatever. It's like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, not to put any more time on the Bears game, but it's like I will never pick. I think I looked at the remaining of the schedule. I won't pick the Bears the rest of the season. I don't think I will because I think after this, it's literally just Packers, Lions, Vikings, Packers, or it's all the divisional.
Yeah.
It's like they'll never win a game. So it's
Yeah.
like the Bears
That
fans
kind
have
of talked me
admitted it.
into him.
Dude, they're going to be like 4. I mean, what will the record be? 4-13.
Yeah, yep.
That's
If they
that's
lose out. Mhm.
good. I hope they do.
But they're gonna after they win this one. You mean?
Yeah.
Then they lose
Yeah.
out.
And then once again, like, what's going on? Like, did you guys talk? Like what is going on here? Chargers, Chiefs.
That's a great.
Like,
That's
you
a
guys-
great pick.
I know, but
That
I
is a
know,
great
but
pick.
we literally had a conversation about how we're just not going to go against the Chiefs Juju, and like not Juju Smith-Schuster or whatever, but their Chiefs is like voodoo doll that they have going on, or whatever the hell they have.
No,
the Chiefs and the Steelers. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they're doing something. But it's like you guys fuck with me, man. It's like I look at this game, I'm like, I do like the Chargers, but we all said we're gonna pick the Chiefs because the Chiefs keep winning in crazy ways. And then I like look at it and it's like, oh, crew, like Jake's on the other side. It's like, damn it. Like it's like, why are we doing this to me? Fancy did it to me too against the Bills. It's like
No,
I thought we were
Marcus.
consensus. Like
Marcus has been listening to me about the Chargers and trying to win this division,
damn it.
and I brought him over to my side, and I appreciate that.
Dude, they would be winning the division if like the Chiefs didn't have a voodoo doll. Like
I know. So it's tough. You have a matchup: Chargers against the Chiefs and the refs in the league.
Mhm.
But
Chargers against the Chiefs or against the refs. Chargers against the refs.
yes, well, and the NFL themselves. It's they get
The
it's-
shield.
I saw the video, not to cut you off. I saw the video of a ref got hurt on Monday Night Football and he was getting carted off, and it was like the Chiefs season's over. Like it was like I was like, no, dude.
It's so wrong.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is you've got all those factors, but at some point, the league is gonna let them take. They only have one loss in the season, right? They're
They're on
gonna
the
say,
hot
all right,
seat. They're like, listen, we can't keep this.
we gotta
Mhm.
they gotta lose one of
Fans are
these
catching on.
matchups. Yeah, they gotta we gotta make it look like it's they're not on our side this game type of thing. So, but again, at the same point, I love
Saying that after they've won 11 because of that is crazy.
It's not it's not 11. Let's,
It's damn near.
they've done a pretty good job in probably 7 of these games that they deserve to win. But there's a couple of these games. I'm telling you, we already talked about the Raiders game. It doesn't make sense to win the game that way or lose the game that way. Like, so to me, you have a great matchup, great coaches, and I'm siding with the team that I've kind of, determined that I think they have a shot at being one of these, playoff teams that something crazy could happen. And it would, it's a great storyline to see, you win a national championship and then you come back into the league, that you had a chance
to all their offensive weapons too. I mean, they lost every weapon. Like,
so I think to me, this would just be great to see the juggernaut of the Chiefs go down on what's a Sunday Night Football. That's a great primetime matchup to have. And so I'm gonna give the bright lights to the Chargers in this matchup.
Yeah, I really like. I'm buying all the Charger stock you can get. I know this is a tough game, but the Chiefs minus Patrick Mahomes remind me of like the 22 Steelers who went like 13-3 and then got bounced in the first round by the Brownies. Baker showed up. Beat
that's the only
them.
reason he remembers that is the last time the Browns were in playoffs.
But yeah, right. But they won a bunch of ugly games, even down the stretch, low scoring, ugly games, but they kept finding a way to get it done. It's like, when does that kind of tide turn? How many one score games can you win a year? And I know it's Andy Reid, it's the Chiefs. They always find a way to pull it out. I just think that they got their win over the Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to even it up, like we talked earlier about that interdivision rival. They're going to want to get their lick. Last game was 17-10. I don't see a world where the Chargers go in there and score 10 points again. I think they're going to put more points on the board, but it all comes down to Herbert being special. And Herbert, I don't know if there's anyone who is worth their salt who can deny Herbert as a talent. I mean, he can make every throw. He's smart. He's super, I want to say sneaky athletic, but it's not. I mean, he's 6'6" and runs like a 4.5. I mean, he can do it all. And so I really think that this is a game where he's had his time in this offense. He's had his time under Harbaugh. This is one of these games where you need to take that big step and come out there and light it up for 300, go chest to chest with Mahomes and kind of show him who's boss. Last week, Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes got sacked 5 times. That Chargers defense is allowing 15.7 per game. I mean, this is a recipe for a very good game, and I think the Chargers are going to find a way to win this.
Yeah. Next slide. It's like,
he's like, yeah,
I thought I was going to Chiefs and whatever else. No, it's like, I love it, man. I love what Harbaugh's done. I think, Matt, I think me and you have been more fans of the Chargers than Fancy definitely has, but like, I'm a fan. I mean, Matt, Marcus, you've seen, I made a big trade right at the deadline in our dynasty to get Justin Herbert. It's like, I'm all in Justin Herbert. In the offseason, I'll be going for Lab McConkey from Huffy. Like I'm going to be all in on. I'm going to be all in on it, and I think it's one of those things where I'm seeing a lot of similarities between the Chargers and the Bills. Maybe not as well head coached. Like, I'm not a huge, big guy on the Bills head coach Sean
McDermott.
McDermott, thank you.
Yep.
I don't know why I was thinking McDonald. I think I was stuck on Kevin O'Connell, but so I like the coaching matchup like better in those two things. But I think it's one of those guys where Justin Herbert's a likable guy. He's a good leader. It's like you said, he's sneaky athletic, just like Josh Allen is. And I've been making a lot of comparisons this year from Bo Nix to Justin Herbert on how they just don't get talked about a lot. I mean, Bo Nix has got a lot to fill in those shoes, but I think Bo Nix could be just as good as Justin Herbert is in this league. And I don't think Justin Herbert gets a lot of credit. Like, everyone thinks he's a middle of the pack, but I think he's top 10. And that might be a hot take, but I genuinely do.
I like it.
So I got the Chargers in this matchup, but I'm going to pick the refs. I got the Chargers versus the Chiefs. I don't have the Chargers versus the refs.
Gotcha. No, but what I don't want to get lost in this too, though, the Chargers defense is stepping up too. I know it's
incredible.
Yeah, and I know it was against Cousins, but 4 picks last week. Like, that's a great defense. Anytime you can get those turnovers like that, and to me, that might be the difference in, if Patty Mahomes doesn't quite have that, performance and he throws a couple of these picks, that could be the difference.
Yep.
I guess on a real note, like all seriousness, the reason, like, besides us always picking the Chiefs until I was backstabbed was they lost J.K. Dobbins. I mean, that's something that's not being talked about currently, at
Yeah.
least, is, that's a big blow for them. I'm not saying Gus Edwards can't step up, but at the same time, we've seen the Chargers' identity be a lot of the run. And so
Mhm.
the Chiefs have been good against the run. And on top of that, it's like you're out of running back. And so it's going to force that Will Disley, Lad McConkey. And we've talked about it. We love Lad McConkey, but he's not a number one. And Quentin Johnson and what is the other guy? Joshua Palmer. They've been very, very inconsistent with drops.
And
So
they're 3 or 4.
it's not the fact that Herbert can't get it done. I just think it's Mahomes, Pacheco's back, Kareem Hunt's good, Travis Kelce's good, Juju. I mean, we've seen Hopkins playing more consistently in that offense as well. So it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be a good Sunday football game. But I think if JK's in this game, I do think it's gonna be a tougher pick for me. But I think that is a really, really big blow, and I think that's why the Chiefs are favored the way that they are.
Yeah,
and it's Arrowhead. We gotta talk about that. It's tough to win an Arrowhead, man.
We've been there.
Absolutely tough.
This time of year, it's
we literally
windy,
were
it's
there.
cold,
We were literally there
so.
2 days ago, about 2 or 3 years ago. Memory popped up. So
yeah, and I thought I had a little bit more high hopes for Gus last week, like stepping into that role.
So that's what it means. They're still figuring that out, and that's where I think like the Chiefs aren't a team to go figure that out. Like you need to go in there with a plan, and it's so it's gonna hopefully it ends up being a shootout. It would be fun to see Herbert and Mahomes just keep going back and forth, but we haven't really seen that out of Mahomes lately. So you guys are right. The Chargers might stump Mahomes in the Chiefs offense because it hasn't been a favorable year for Mahomes. And then the last game of the week, obviously the team's on the bye. It was a big bye week for fantasy. A lot of guys getting hurt here in terms of fantasy owners because you got the Ravens, Lamar, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry owners, Mark Andrews owners, all on a bye. Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton. The defense even too. Texans, CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon. I mean, it's like there's some heavy offensive guys that are on a bye this week. So hopefully you're doing all right and you already clinched playoffs. You don't have to worry about some of these guys missing time. But Bengals at Cowboys. The Cowboys still trying to win. I did expect maybe to see like Fancy on the side of Dallas. I'm not gonna lie to you. Just because they are at home and it's Monday Night Football, so there won't be any sun reflecting in. So that'll
be out.
The moon will be out, so there won't be any missed passes in the end zone because of it. But for whatever reason, Dallas is still trying to win. So you're going to see them come out and give it everything they got. Once again, I picked the Bengals, and so do you guys. But it's just like, man,
poor Bengals.
If I see the Bengals put up 30+ points and they
lose
Cooper Rush and the Cowboys,
Cooper Rush,
I might drive to Cincinnati and give Joe Burrow a hug myself. It's just
if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that this would be the Week 14 matchup between the Bengals and Cowboys, and they'd be going in 9-15 combined, I think I would have took you on that bet. I mean, these are two of arguably the most disappointing teams as far as fan expectations. And
Cowboys were leaders to win the division.
Yeah, and then the Bengals had a healthy Burrow coming back, all these weapons, Jamar Chase on a contract year, which in hindsight, them not paying them.
And there's talks. They didn't sign Jamar Chase, and now there's talks that Joe Burrow might be like on like almost like the hey, I might go somewhere else if you guys can't figure this out type of thing. And that would be crazy because you're gonna see the big three, right? Burrow, Higgins, and Chase. It's like you already saw Mixon go. Now Higgins is next. It's like, what does the team look next year? The team look probably even worse somehow.
Yeah.
Like
they're at the point right now where I'm surprised we haven't heard more talk about Zach Taylor getting fired. I mean, at 4-8 with that, and I know he is an offensive coach, and the offense has been phenomenal. But I mean, where does the buck stop when you're 4-8? Yeah, but they need a lot of change. I know that I couldn't tell you 5 players off their defense, and they're in our division. So I mean, it is a roster, a GM issue too.
And their defensive guys leading in sacks.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Hendrickson.
He's number one. He's the sack leader, and they're still the worst defense ever. It's like none of it makes sense. It really doesn't. Like I never thought they'd throw up that many points against the Steelers, and then they did. And then I never thought the Steelers would put up that many points, and then it's like they did, and I'm just like,
well, yeah, Joe Burrow. I think he got strip sacked twice. I mean, there were some big turnovers in there, but Russell Wilson. He had a couple. He
Dude, those
throws one
lob
of the
balls, man.
best deep
Every single time I
balls,
see one
man.
go,
Just
I'm like Matt in the moon balls, man. He taught it with George
Mhm.
Pickens. It's like
and he does.
he's
It's
so
crazy.
good.
It's
beautiful.
crazy how he can just chuck that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so
He's
good.
got a great feel for it. So
So yeah, those are all of our picks. Like I said, 9 consensus picks. So, tally those up the way you want to with the way we worded them, how confident we are. You can tell in our our little speeches about them. But we had some big news with the DK lineups. Matt got in the win column by 0.52 points. Round of applause
Love
for
to
Matt.
see
well
it.
deserved. Well deserved.
Chuba Hubbard fumble,
guys-
Will Disley donuts. I mean, it took a lot of things for it to happen, but we
That's
saw
ball,
we saw it
baby.
happen. But some notable names: Kyron Williams for me, great. Mike Evans, great. Adam Thielen, great. Jets defense, Matt. One of the talking points that we had was Jets and Seahawks, right? We both talked about both defense showed up. We talked about
Yep.
both sides of the ball. We loved both. We both agreed on it, and both defense both showed up right there. Fancy had Bucky Irving, so did you, Matt. And Cortland Sutton for Fancy was another hit.
Mhm.
AJ Brown and Gus Edwards let you down, but it still obviously puts you in the win column. But Drake London and Lad McConkey, I mean, we had some good between Mike Evans and Thielen and McConkey and London, and we picked some good wide receivers, and then Kyron Williams and Bucky, and we picked, we just missed out on the quarterbacks this
Mhm.
week for sure. It might be one of our lowest scoring quarterback weeks, to this day. But that puts us at what,
And
5
both
wins for me,
surprises.
5 wins for Fancy, and then 3 for Matt. So Matt, you're catching up with a little bit of time left. We got what, 5 weeks left?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Big week here.
yeah, 5 weeks left.
Yeah, I think you said, I'm just gonna have to win out from here. So that's one
Yeah,
in a
he
row.
started it. I mean,
Can't start a streak
All
without
starts
first
with
whatever
one.
Chiefs, whatever Chiefs weird voodoo shit you did, it ended up working. We have obviously Marcus is going to do it with us as well. But we haven't even seen one of Marcus's results because he's always ashamed of his scoring.
Spoiler alert, I told him already when he sent this over. I love his lineup right now.
I like my
This
team a
is-
lot this week. I actually put money on it, and
I was gonna say
winning.
if you have $1 million league, that whatever the big one is, you got to throw that lineup in there. I'm telling you, that's great.
Yeah. I'll start out with mine, and then I'll run through Fancy's for us since Fancy's not here. I will say the one consensus pick that we have all around is Calvin Ridley. We love
Mhm.
Calvin Ridley's
Yep.
thing. I'll let you guys kind of get into it because Marcus, I'm sure you kind of have more of probably a breakdown of that, I'm sure, or in some way. But I wanted to pair that up with Will Levis. I mean, Jacksonville's secondary, obviously, as you see, 32nd rate. It's the worst secondary in the entire league. So I think Will Levis and Calvin Ridley, all you kind of need is not have Nick Westbrook-Akine pop off for that 100-yard play and let it be Calvin Ridley instead this time, and I'll be all right. But the running backs I took, I went with 3 again this week. It's been working out when I go with 3. I went David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift. I like Swift's matchup. 49ers have been struggling against the run. We saw that last week with James Cook kind of running all over that 49ers team. But Montgomery, I mean, Thursday Night Football, we didn't talk about it. Jameer Gibbs kind of got in a little bit of trouble showing the background of the plays
He'll be all
on
right.
the live video. He'll be all right, but I'm just like they might just go to David Montgomery a little bit more, like maybe in the red zone.
Maybe it's the
reward him for not leaking all of our plays.
maybe
like,
it's the first 2 series.
yeah.
That they
It's
go
like
with Montgomery.
maybe it's an
instead.
80-yard breakout. So that's the one that I pick. I usually always go with Montgomery or Gibbs in my lineups, but I love the Kyron Williams. That's the third running back I went with. I saved up enough money to get him in there. Marcus, you mentioned it. I didn't want to do a spoiler alert, but Buffalo's been really bad against the run. You see 30th against running backs in fantasy. So it's one of those things where I love that matchup. I had him last week. We saw the number he put up. I think he's just a touchdown machine. But I spent a lot of money. I think CeeDee Lamb, I mean, we just talked about the Monday Night Football game. It's like Cincinnati's terrible. If Russell Wilson's can put up that much numbers, I'm not even worried about Cooper Rush because I've seen Cooper Rush put up 340 this season already. And I just think CeeDee Lamb could just I think you could see a 180-yard game out of CeeDee Lamb. Like you definitely could.
He's good for one a year. So
yeah, so I love that. Another Thursday night matchup for me. Jaden Reed, just one of those. He's their explosive guy, right? He's their Deebo Samuel. He can get involved on a huge play, and I just went with it.
With Dobbs ruled out, that's a little bit more safety valve now that another gadget guy is out.
Exactly.
Then
Tucker Kraft
Watson's gonna get some he'll get some looks still. I'm not opposed to Watson, but I think Reed's more so going to be the guy, and obviously Fancy pick him as well. But the reason I went with Schoonmaker, this might be what hurts me in my lineup, is just because Ferguson was out and then now he's like questionable to return.
He
Yeah,
might
because
come
he's
back.
like still in concussion protocol, and I'm just like, damn. But I just needed to get like a really low one, and they've been using him. I mean, I think he's got like
Mhm.
he had like a 15-point week, and then like a
Yeah.
8 or 9-point week. So even if Jake Ferguson does come back, they might be easing him in. I still do think it's an absolute shootout of a
Yeah.
game. But with Cooper Rush in, he's going to target his tight ends, and I mean, it might just work out. But
Yep.
Bears defense, I know it's very opposite of what I picked in that game and we just talked about, but the Bears defense has been really, really good. And I thought for this price,
Mhm.
I mean, it's the cheapest price on the list. And I think
I know, real cheap.
besides, I like the Giants one too, but it's like the 49ers have been really struggling. They've been really struggling. And so I think the Bears defense can do well. But for Fancy, besides DeAndre Swift, Ridley, and Reed that he shared picks with me, Fancy went with Burrow. He paid a lot for that, but I do like that a lot. Could be a shootout. Singletary, I think Tracy kind of took over the backfield, so I'm not like super high on that. But
Mhm.
Jordan Addison, another guy we talked about. I mean, Vikings are great when it comes to getting everyone involved on offense.
Yep.
And the Neighbors got a favorable matchup as well. We've loved Cade Otton, especially with Chris Godwin down. Even when Mike Evans was down, you saw him thrive.
Mhm.
We saw the production fall a little bit, but I mean, for that price, it's not a bad price whatsoever.
You
Lowest.
got to look at the matchup too. It's
Yeah.
against the
That's a
Raiders.
great matchup.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He has
And
great
then he
matchups
picked
top to
Vikings
bottom.
defense. He picked Vikings defense against a struggling Atlanta offense. So I'm not opposed to any of that. So
Yep. And I gave you the spoiler before. I love the matchup for Darnold, pairing it with Justin Jefferson here. So that's my stack. Really high in Chase Brown. So I picked him as my RB1. I think he still just continues that against Dallas. We talked about, you've got him too, Marcus. We talked about Isaac Grendo stepping in
Mhm.
there after the 1 and 2 go down. I think he's a plug and play where he's going to have success.
Mhm.
We all have Ridley. Again, I don't know. He's got the productivity there. It just, does Westbrook-Akine steal those
my
yards out of him? That's all it comes down to.
Calvin Ridley, 6 catches, 80 yards. Akine, 2 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, that's wild.
Fuck.
That's
So, yeah,
wild.
7 touchdowns in his last 8 games.
Yeah, literally, like I said, he's got
Crazy.
8 touchdowns on 20 receptions.
Yeah.
Every other catch is a touchdown.
So you
That's a crazy stat.
saw me pick. I picked him.
You're putting him in your flex when we wouldn't let you do double tight end, and then you went back to double tight end again. So I hope you lose this week.
No, I didn't go. I'm
I'm looking at
double tight
Marcus.
end here.
I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
used to being
yeah.
on the far right. I'm used to being on the far right.
Me and Matt are on the same wavelength, okay?
No, we forced him to not do it anymore, and now he's winning every week.
So I looked at that matchup for Jacoby Myers. I think
Love
he's got a great opportunity against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay,
Mhm.
giving up a lot of those yards
Yeah.
for wide receivers. I stepped back in for the tight end. I've been high on Ingram this year. My prediction was he was going to be a top
Yeah, it was
3.
both. I thought he was top 3, top 1. Like I
Mhm.
thought he was. I thought he was top 3, number 1. Like that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Like
Yep. And who would have known that, Brock Bowers is the one just absolutely just crushing it at tight end position, right? So I think a matchup like this, with Mac Jones coming in, you know my rationale of when that quarterback comes back in, who's not the starting quarterback, that and to me, Ingram is the epitome of that safety valve. He's gonna get a catch for 10 yards, catch for 8 yards whenever you need it, and that's the type of
we saw
game.
that first game back, right? He had like 14 catches or whatever. It was something
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah, so that to me, that's the perfect spot right here. Mac Jones stepping in against Tennessee, because to me, Tennessee, their defense started out real hot.
trying to slow
I
up a
think
little bit.
I think those numbers are skewed. That 7th for them is skewed over those first, I think, 6 games is
Well,
where
that's just against the tight ends though. To be fair, like so, that seventh number you see is their 7th against the tight
in
end
that position.
Yeah,
I got you.
Mhm.
And then my flex. So my
Spent a
gamble,
lot of money, Darnold, and
yeah, my money is kind of depleted there, but to me, I really love his opportunities. Brees Hall he's been banged up. His knee is, he's always good to go. He was good to go last week. But he's one hard hit away from maybe missing part of the game.
This guy's
And-
waiting for an injury to happen out here, Marcus. My goodness.
No, it's not only that. Braylon Allen has had some opportunities where he shows that he's explosive. So to me, that's what you love out of a flex position is if unfortunately, if he's banged up for just a couple series even, and he steps in, you have the opportunity
Mhm.
to really perform on your money, at $5,000 spent of him
Counts
just
there.
yeah. So to me, that's a perfect flex position if I'm not going to go double tight end, which is the best strategy. We all know, right, Marcus? But if you're not going to do that, let's go for a dart throw of some, crazy
Yeah.
opportunity.
No, I'm a big fan of that. And that's what, especially if you're in some of these buy-ins, the $20, $50 DraftKings buy-ins, you got to have that home run hitter if
Yeah, whatever you
the
guys,
money's not working out. So
whatever you say, Sean Payton.
Yeah.
So no, I just want to emphasize one or two things before we get to you, Marcus, is the trend you see is, Fancy can't go Burrow and Chase because it costs too much money, right?
Right.
And then you're able to go Darnold and Jefferson, but then you plead out on, I don't think Ingram's a bad pick at all. I love that pick. And then
Yeah.
5K, even 5K, it's like you still have a decent amount left. But
Mhm.
you see the tiers of it almost of like, Kirk Cousins, Mooney, Darnold, and Jefferson, and then Will Levis and
Mhm.
Ridley for me. It's like I've been trying to buy in, as you know, Matt, a few weeks ago, I took Tommy DeVito and Malik Neighbors. It's like I
Right.
try to buy in on really low quarterbacks. That way where a lot of my points are coming from these Montgomery, Swift, Williams, or the one
Mhm.
week I had AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, and like another top guy. It's like I'm trying to buy in on these other things. And so
Yep.
one thing that I want to emphasize was you talked about Jacoby Myers. He's been playing great since Devontae
Mhm.
Adams has gotten traded. And Aiden O'Connell and Jacoby Myers would not be. I looked at it a little bit. O'Connell was a little bit more money. Obviously, had the big blow up week last week, but against Tampa, I mean, that could be a shootout game for both
Yeah.
teams, especially with
Wouldn't surprise me.
Carolina
Yeah.
looking good. I mean, if Las Vegas looked that good last week, I mean, look out for O'Connell and Myers. In a lot of leagues, if Myers is available, which he shouldn't be, but even in doing these, if you're looking to pair up, that definitely be a smart move. So
Yep.
Mhm.
And then before you get started, sorry, Marcus, on that
Yeah.
point, I love how you're able to. You have 3 starting running backs.
Mhm.
You in your
that's
in,
why
in
I just can't.
High volume
I mean, you
guys
guys do
too.
the way you do it. I just when I'm looking through it, I go defense. Then I look through my quarterbacks. I find a match. I literally go to like 6K, and then I start looking at matchups under 6K. Because
Yeah.
if I see one like Aiden O'Connell, if I see one with Will Levis, I mean, even Kirk Cousins, I don't hate that one either. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Back in his own thing. It's like we're trying to get back on page and everything like that. It's like I try to find it because like as much as I love Joe Burrow's matchup, like for fancy, I love it. That price just hurts your lineup so much. Like it just
Mhm.
does. Like it
Yep.
just that's why he's got Devin Singletary in his lineup. It's like you just hope
Right.
for something, right? And I'd
Mhm.
rather go with if Will Levis gives me 15 points, which he's been doing that. I mean, a
Mhm.
lot of weeks against the worst, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm confident in Montgomery, Swift, and Williams
Yep.
giving me
Yep.
15,
Yeah.
10 points, right?
At $7,300, you need Burrow to throw for 380, 3
He's got to have
touchdowns.
he's got to have a 5 touchdown game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So when you buy, I mean, what do you think's more likely? Joe Burrow getting 380 and 4 touchdowns, or Will Levis getting 250 and 2 touchdowns?
Especially with the
So
run,
it's like,
running it, the run. I mean, he does so much on the ground now, and
Mhm.
it's just
Yep.
those big
Yep.
plays, and we see him with Westbrook Akine. It's like
Mhm. Yep.
so
It's give
the
and take.
potential's there. So I don't mind. 5K for him when he's.
Yep.
I mean, you look at Kirk Cousins; he's averaging 15 points for fantasy, and Will
Mhm.
Levis is 13. It's like
Yeah.
for you know what I mean. To me, it's just
With a
like
great
okay,
matchup.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like all right, cool.
I agree. I'll never knock taking Joe Burrow in any kind of form of
No,
fantasy.
not at
I mean,
all. Not at
he's
all.
like
That's what I'm trying to get at. It's
MVP
weird. It's
level,
like it's not that I don't love that pick. It's like I'm just not
but
spending
it's a
that much
budget.
money.
Yeah, yep, yep. That's the fun part about these too. Is kind of like the give
You
and
have to
take
find the
you got to
explosive
do.
guys, man. You
Yeah,
have to.
yep, yep. You
Cheap
have to
explosive
have the
guys.
high upside guys. And you got to sprinkle in your safe floor guys. Like you have your running backs there, and then you have 2, 3 wide receivers who wouldn't shock me if they all went for 100 and a touchdown. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And so my lineup's
good
just
team.
dictated on Shoemaker. If he can give me 10,
Yeah,
I'll be fine. Like
yep.
Will Disley is the reason that Matt got a win.
Yep. So I went Kirko Chains, hoping like we said, everything I've said is kind of counterintuitive to why I picked him. I just think that he's going to find some sauce back in his old stomping grounds. He might have a bone to pick with the Vikings organization, a little revenge game. So Garendo, like Matt said as well, I think it's just a plug and play. The opportunities will be there. He's going to get 15, 18 carries and from the short sample size we have, he's produced, and he's a bruiser too. So it's like one of those guys where if the game doesn't go his way, I could still see him getting 38 yards and a touchdown, seeing him punch it in or something. So Bucky, huge Bucky fan. I was trying to trade Jake's girlfriend for him. I sent her probably 5 different trades over the course of the year. I was so big on Bucky.
And Matt, you're lucky you didn't trade him.
I traded away. Yeah, I traded away Rashad White, and I was a big Bucky guy. It never happened. Love him and love the value he has at $6,600. He's on fire. Darnell Mooney, kind of pair that up with the quarterback. It's always good to kind of have that quarterback wide receiver pairing because if it hits big. So we all like Ridley here. Kind of funny. Out of all these names I have on my team, I didn't think Ridley would be the consensus, but against Jacksonville, great matchup. And and Mac Jones looked pretty decent. So I think that if the game script goes like last week where Tennessee had to completely abandon the run.
I know I said I wouldn't bet on the game, but the one thing I would bet, I think that over under was like 37.5. I was like, I think it clears that because both defenses are just so bad.
Their defense is average. I had in my fun facts, we kind of scooped over it. One's 28.6 per game average let up, and one's 27. So it's like 56 a game on average, but their over under
it's under the over under is under 40 for sure.
Yeah. So Smith to Jigba, DK's beat up, like I think Matt said earlier. Brock Bowers, rookie of the year. Brock Bowers. I mean,
especially if he breaks, she's going to shatter every. We thought Sam Laporta was like this God sent thing, and I think honestly, not to even just down. I think Sam Laporta was just a product of the system, like in terms of they were just targeting him so much that it's like anyone in that position would be good. He's battling an injury for sure, and I think he'll get it back together. But I think that was his best year of his career for Sam Laporta. Like, I think when I see Brock Bowers, I see him like. I mean, he's on a team with nobody, and he's performing. Like
Laporta just has a ton. I mean, there's so many mouths to feed in that organization. I mean,
that's what I mean. I just
2 great wide receivers, 2 great running backs. So I am a big believer in Laporta, the talent, but also I could see the fantasy side of it.
Yeah.
I think Brock Bowers is rookie of the year, and I don't think it should be close. Like I get the Knicks talk. I got the Daniels talk earlier in the year.
But Sam Laporta didn't win it last year. He broke all the records.
Yeah. Bowers is but it's a quarterback position,
but to me, like as a tight end, when you're in the top 5 of receiving, or no, top 10. Sorry, when you're in the top 10,
top 5. Oh, he's number 4.
Is he top 5 now?
Number 4. Yeah, he's number 4.
So when you have that
on a team with nobody around him
as a rookie tight end, like that should propel
that's
you
one
to
trade, Marcus. I know you're trying to get the Kittle here, but that's the one trade in our dynasty where I was going to be able to get Brock Bowers, but your buddy wanted me to swap picks. It was like pick 6, 7. So you want to swap picks, but I had to throw in Marquise Brown, and I just thought Marquise Brown was going to light up for Kansas City, and I didn't do it.
I actually liked Marquise Brown too.
Yeah, and then like I could have literally drafted Brock Bowers, and instead I got JJ McCarthy.
I mean, who would have thought Brock Bowers would have a season like this with the quarterback situation that he's had? So even it's funny because me and my buddy who ended up taking him in that league, we're on the phone during that, and he's like, "What do you think I should do here?" I'm like, "Dude, Brock Bowers is the best player available. He might not be the best fantasy player, but if you have your questions or haven't done your research, he's got a
tight end for the next 10 years now.
And he's so good. So I doubled up. I pulled the old Matt route. He's gonna get on a hot streak and bring this thing back. Nah, it just when you look at it, their points per game and their money. Tight ends make a lot of value sense. So I doubled up with 2 of the best tight ends in the game, and then I just have Giants going against.
Yeah, I mean your tight ends are literally averaging more. Your tight ends are averaging more points a game than your wide receivers,
and they're cheaper.
And running backs and tight ends. I mean, those are highest scoring guys.
Yep.
So
I got 2
those
dogs.
Are our lineups. Yeah, those are dog. That's how we should do it. Like Isaac Rindo, dog. That's how you should have done it. Honestly, Darnell Mooney, dog.
That
would have been great.
Yeah.
And then last week, our Thanksgiving one missed by 1. Our parlay, we missed the David Montgomery anytime touchdown. But we did hit the other parlay. We had Tampa Bay, Dallas, and Los Angeles. We wanted to get just like a consensus pick parlay going, just get us back in the win column. So we have one for this week too. So obviously we won last week. So if you guys tailed that, you guys should be up. We'll be up on the season now. if you guys tail every bet. Fancy went with the Miami Dolphins money line. Matt, you went with Juwan Jennings receiving yards 40 plus. That is an alt line. You could take 50 plus if you are confident in it. I just know that the Bears defense has been good, and we're comfortable at 40 is what we're trying to get at. And then I took Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Raiders. Like I said, I just don't see a way that they lose that, and they need to win this game to basically be number one in the NFC South. And then Marcus, you had the fun stat for us with taking the Steelers. Yeah. Turn maybe like switch it around real quick or something. Yeah. They can't even. Yeah, they can't even see it. There you go. Yeah. You got the Browns hat chilling in the background too.
Yeah. I can say you can't see that he has a hat on anyways. Right now.
But like you said, they haven't beat them. The Browns haven't beat the Steelers twice. In the same season in like over 10 years. And they beat them in the snow game, kind of a fluke in Cleveland. All this stuff in Pittsburgh. Steelers are gonna get it done. $25 to win 88 at a plus 252 odds.
I like it.
And that is our parlay. So we have one more segment for you guys, your guys' favorite segment, Trivia with Matt, and we'll meet you guys over there.
All right. Thank you. Welcome into trivia time as always. All right. Record of teams after a coach is fired.
10-3.
10-4. 10-4, because after this week, it's going to be 10-4.
There you go. So this week, this
Trick
is
question.
one I saw on TikTok actually. So I want to see if you guys can do it, because when I was racking my brain. Hopefully you guys don't know it right away. Go ahead and throw that up for me, Jake. So can you name the team that has numbers on the side of their helmet? So normally they've got their numbers right in the back of their helmet, but these alt helmets, they've got them where it's
alt helmets
right on the side. Well, it's not necessarily alt, but it's more recent history that they threw these into their lineup.
Numbers.
I think I do know. I just don't want to maybe I don't though. I don't know.
All right, give Marcus a shot at it as well too.
I don't know if I know 100%, but maybe I'm not. I don't know. No, I feel like I'm right though.
And I don't mean. So the first one that comes to mind is it's not the team name. I mean, it's like their physical number on their helmet. So not the 49ers. I just want to make sure,
Yeah.
That's the one that maybe
this is easy, you loser.
Yeah, no, it's they actually have the player's number on the side of their helmet. It's the only one right now.
Jeez.
So you got to rack through visually. Can you think of anyone?
I know. I'm trying to think of teams off. And it's their regular helmet? It's their standard helmet?
It's in their one of their three helmets.
Rotation.
Is it an all black uniform?
No.
Not a black helmet?
Were you thinking of the Commanders?
No. I was thinking Commanders.
That's what I was kind of thinking them. I was kind of thinking the Jets all black alternatives they just wore. And then
I was thinking Commanders.
I
swear Commanders have it on the side of the helmet.
And then I was thinking
in Daniels.
I was almost thinking the Bills for a second.
I'll look it up. There may be a they might be the second team to now do it.
Oh, see, look at this. We don't even have the look at it. What kind of show are we running around here?
No, I don't.
It was their alt blacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, because now that you say that, I'm thinking of that too. You're right.
Mm-hmm. It might be one of those placebo effects for
they have it on the side of the helmet. I'm looking at it.
Damn. That's why I was like, are you gonna say Commanders? But I wasn't sure.
Yeah, because I'm looking at Bobby Wagner's helmet and it's literally 54.
54. Yeah.
All right. Can you name the two teams?
Yeah.
Damn.
Can
we get a AFC, NFC? Because I'm pretty stumped. I'm not gonna lie.
AFC.
That's where my brain went right away. It was the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm thinking NFC teams.
Maybe you were right with the Jets. You just said AFC.
AFC. Bills?
No.
I was thinking maybe they're white, like the all white.
Let me think.
I was gonna say I'll give you another hint if
give me one more. Give me a color. Unless it's too obvious. Unless it's that's too obvious. Maybe Man, I
No,
didn't
I
even know
don't
there's
wanna-
another team that did it. Though. I thought it was just the Commanders.
So Commanders, I think that's their new alts this year that they did it.
Mhm.
The team I'm thinking of is they've implemented the past couple years. But they did also wear it with their new alts, which I don't know if I told you, because I've been talking about the jerseys and stuff. These jerseys they just wore were pretty. I liked they were pretty sharp, like their whole ensemble. But no, it was with their traditional jerseys too.
Broncos.
No,
Fuck.
that was a sick.
I don't like that they went with white helmets though. Go
I
all
know.
blue on me. Go all blue.
I know that would have been.
I hate when teams do that. Like, don't give me an all black and then give me a white helmet. You know what I mean? Like, give me the full blackout. Like, I love that. Or give me the full white out. Or like the Jets, give me the full green. Like, don't tease me.
So this team normally has a pretty sick alt blue, but they went with a different color blue for their alt this year.
Texans.
Nope.
Fuck. Did they not go with a lighter
They
blue?
They did just switch up their jerseys.
Titans.
It's a team I'm really high on this year.
See, I'm really. Oh, the
The
Chargers.
Chargers?
Yeah, Harbaugh
yeah.
implemented that shit with fucking college. Fuck
those
that.
are
No, I'm
re-
just kidding.
Those are really sharp navy ones that they just wore. They're alt ones.
Mhm.
And they've had it for a couple of years now.
So normally it's with that. Yeah, it's the white helmets when they were wearing their powder.
Well, that because of Keenan Allen, dude.
Their powder blue jerseys are so sick.
Dude.
I remember wanting a LT powder blue jersey for like
Right?
every Christmas for like 3 years.
Also,
No,
I just want to point out the reason the Chargers aren't going to win is because Michigan already won this week. So, like, the luck of that whole thing is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to point that out for a Michigan fan and an Ohio State fan. I just wanted to like throw that in there right before the episode ended in case. Like,
who won that matchup?
I don't
this
know.
past week?
Marcus.
We let you guys have it. I mean, it was like a pity win, you know. You guys are like,
hold on.
Are you still below 500?
What a year to have extended playoffs is traditionally where that is the game that gets you in the playoffs.
We didn't need it. We didn't need it. We didn't like our where the seedings were matched up. Wanted to fall back a little, you know.
So we appreciate we won our national championship in our matchup against you guys this week or last week. That was our national championship. So now you guys can go and play for national championship.
Hell yeah.
What's it? 4 in a row and 5 of the last 20.
You know what?
I'm teasing.
It was a bad stretch. And that's when
they're fixing it, Marcus. Don't knock a guy down when he's fixing his life.
Hey,
okay?
That's when I lived in Ohio, was during that stretch. Okay.
Oh, you got it all then. I don't have to say anything.
Yeah, so I know.
Yeah, so that's what we got for you guys this week. Like I said earlier on in the intro, we will probably be switching some things up on how we do things. It might just be a shorter segment where all we do is go over the picks of the schedule and everything like that, and then we're going to do more stuff on the socials just to build up the community a little bit more. We love what we're doing, and it's a lot of fun, but we think, if we could just utilize, another hour of maybe not being live in front of a camera and just talking about some of this stuff in depth and getting some, some catchy TikTok clips or YouTube shorts that could just help grow. But we still will be posting every single week, so that will not change. It just might be a 30, 45-minute segment rather than a hour 15, hour 30 type of segment. But either way, if you're still listening, we appreciate you guys. Our numbers still are double than what they were last year, so we are growing. We just want to see if, maybe we switch things up. If we just see a better outcome in terms of, getting our socials involved as well, and getting more feedback from you guys, because obviously, Matt, some of our favorite ones are when people come back and tell us they tailed the parlay, or they they took a guy that we were high on and it worked out, or they got a guy off a waiver wire and they won him the week this week, or whatever it may be. Is we want to get more interactions with you guys, and if being having that as a priority of being TikTok and YouTube short heavy is the go-to, then we're gonna give it a run and see how it treats us. So but we appreciate you guys obviously tuning in and listening through this episode. We had fun. Marcus, thank you again for hopping on with us. Like I said earlier, hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Get your Christmas trees up, and hopefully Fancy will show up in like a Santa outfit or an elf outfit next week.
That'd be great.
Something crazy.
I'd love that.
But no, that's all I got for you guys. And you guys got anything else for me? No.
I think you hit the nail on
you
the
guys
head.
get your all Michigan, Ohio State comments out of there.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, hey, we love you guys though. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. Later.
See ya.